Welcome to Marketing Tales with Chris Raposo, a podcast created to spotlight and highlight marketers, tell their stories, and share their knowledge with those interested in all things marketing. If you're interested in more than just the cut and dry strategies and tactics and want to learn more about the human side of his guests and how they got to where they are today, then this show is for you.
What trends do you see in the future of analytics in B2B marketing, especially with the evolution of AI and machine learning?
So there's a lot of attention on generative AI right now. And I think that type of AI systems are going to improve the efficiency of analytics. However, there's another side, which is predictive AI, that has been around for a little bit longer. Ad platforms have been using it. If you notice, like within Google, there's like smart bidding that's using AI, and it's more of a predictive model. So based on historical data, this is what we predict to be the things in the future. So the more that you can feed those ad platforms the data that you want, like the outcomes that you want, the better they'll be able to target the right customers for you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Marketing Tales Show with Chris Raposo. Today, I have the honor and the privilege to welcome you, Jon Piehl. Jon, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited.
You bet. A special thank you to Joseph Lewin for introducing me to you. So it's always fun to have those introductions. So let's jump right into the episode. So I did a little bit of research on you, as I do with every one of my guests, and I noticed that you have a degree in marketing from Azusa Pacific University, and you're currently the marketing ops and analytics lead at Proofpoint Marketing. Now, since you have a degree in marketing, did you know early on that you wanted to be in marketing, and what do you love about marketing?
Yeah, so my path into marketing started in high school. I took a computer course in high school, and they taught me how to build websites. This was back in the early 2000s, to date myself, when the internet was like just getting up and maturing. So I learned how to build websites, got really excited with doing that, and I started to see the potential of the internet in its ability to promote businesses. Early 2000s, not many businesses were doing that. So I saw that potential, and I got really excited about what that could look like. So that started me down the path of looking into like, what does digital marketing look like in the 21st century? And yeah, so when it came time to apply for college, I looked at like general business administration degrees, but what really excited me was the marketing degrees and the curriculum that and the courses I would take within marketing, and it just really aligned with what got me excited and what my skill sets were. So that's my path towards marketing. And what I love about marketing is I see myself as a creative person, but not in like the traditional sense of like visual design or creative writing, but more of like creative ways to solve complex problems. And I feel like that is marketing. You have these really complex problems of how are we going to get customers excited about our products and services and get them to eventually buy it. There's a lot of like small little problems that you have to solve all along the way to get them to accomplish that. So it's like building this really complex system that's all interconnected to achieve this big goal. And that's what marketing is. That's kind of where my skill set aligns with. And so that's kind of how I got into marketing operations and analytics, is seeing that big picture system and how can we operationalize and optimize that whole system in order to improve efficiencies.
That's awesome. And I love that you noticed that and realized that from an early age, it plays to your advantage to be able to focus on something like this for a long time and to get better on it or with it over the years. So kudos to you for recognizing it early in your career. And Azusa Pacific University, where is that located?
Yeah, it's in Southern California, just east of LA.
Gotcha. Is this where you're from?
No, I'm originally from Northern California. I was exposed to Azusa Pacific University through a missions trip program that they run. So there were several summers where I went down to Mexico through Azusa Pacific's program, and stayed at the university on my way down to Mexico. And so when it came time to apply for colleges, Azusa Pacific was one of the colleges I applied for. And they just, the culture and community there really fit well with what I was looking for in a college.
Yeah, that's very important when you decide where to school, that it's a good mission fit for you and that you fit in with the culture, like you just said. Now, tell us a little bit more about your company, Proofpoint.
Yeah, Proofpoint is a B2B marketing consultancy. We primarily focus on professional service companies. So other companies that provide consulting services to like medical device companies or biotech, or like business consulting. So my role within Proofpoint is to set up systems for our clients in order to be able to collect data, and then I analyze that data to make recommendations on how we can improve efficiencies, find things that we could improve, find those trends and patterns to analyze.
Great, great. Let's focus on that then. When we planned this interview, you told me, like you just said, that you work with analytics and you focus on these specific things to make the proper recommendation. Now, let's put it in a perspective of B2B marketing. Can you explain the role of analytics in B2B marketing and why it's so critical in today's business environment?
Yeah, so B2B marketing is pretty complex and getting more and more interesting as the buyer journey kind of evolves and matures. So the role of B2B marketing is getting more complex, and it's difficult to build out these huge, massive marketing programs so that covers the entire buyer journey. So analytics is about understanding all of those touch points and how those touch points can work together towards achieving your objective. So overall, analytics helps with focusing on what matters. One thing that I've noticed when I'm working with marketing teams is that they tend to just go through the marketing motions of, oh, we have to send out emails, we have to post on social media, we have to run a podcast. There's just like this laundry list of things that they have to do within marketing, but they don't really understand the impact that those activities are having in accomplishing their objectives. So what I do is I come in, analyze all of those steps, try to understand like, what is the marketing objective that we're trying to achieve? And are these activities actually contributing to that objective? So yeah, that's kind of the role I see analytics playing in B2B marketing and why it's important, trying to connect those dots to marketing activities to overall business objectives.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you touched on that you want to have a goal and you want to be able to see all of the laundry list of activities that you have, what has an impact, so you can adjust and pivot to the ones that are more relevant to your target audience, and maybe cut some of the other ones that don't work particularly well, or change. So when it comes to, let's stay on the B2B marketing or B2B industry at large, what type of data should B2B marketers be focusing on collecting and analyzing?
Yeah, so for me, there's kind of two types of data that you want to look at. One is like early indicators that can show future success. And then the other is looking back, data that looks back to see, did we achieve our goals? At Proofpoint, I've developed a 3-stage measurement framework that takes in those two metrics into account. So the first stage is all about measuring the ability to create affinity within the market. So are people resonating with the brand? Some might call this brand awareness, but awareness alone doesn't really drive revenue, you have to get people excited about your brand. And so that's why we look at affinity. The way that we measure affinity is brand traffic to the website. So are people seeing the podcast, looking at ads, and then on their own coming to the website by searching that company's brand name? So that's like a really good indication that affinity is being built up. The next is looking at traffic to high intent pages on the website. So these are like service pages, what the company actually does. If they're just coming to the homepage and then bouncing, like that's probably not, you're not building much affinity, or they're just coming to look at the free resources or blog posts that you have available. That's great to see, but if they're not really interested in the services that you offer, maybe not affinity is being built. And then lastly, within affinity, we're looking at engagement within ads that talk to the company's like strategic narrative or unique points of view. If people aren't engaging with that, it's probably a good sign that that message isn't resonating with people. So looking at those factors. So those are like early indicators to show that we're going to be achieving our goal if affinity is being built. Next is conversations. Some would call this like leads. The reason we say conversations is because it's not just leads for the sake of leads. We're really interested in like deep conversations that are sales qualified. Like sales wants to talk to these people and they're not just this random person that submitted their email for a white paper or something. So we're looking at sales qualified leads and connecting the relationship between the affinity we built and the conversations that are being created. If we're seeing a ton of affinity being created, but not a lot of conversations coming from that, there's probably a disconnect there that we need to understand of, okay, how can we improve the like demand capture programs to bring those conversations into the business? So like analyzing the relationship between those two things. So that's like every step is getting closer and closer to revenue. And so those are the metrics that we want to track, is like every step getting closer and closer to revenue. And then lastly, we're looking at revenue numbers. So these are conversions from conversation to pipeline, overall pipeline value, pipeline velocity, win rate, average deal size. The hope is that if we built up a good amount of affinity before they came into the pipeline, all of these metrics should be improving over time. So the win rate should increase, the average deal size should increase because there's more trust built within the community, within the ICP. So we should start seeing like all of these numbers start to increase, even if they're not directly sourced from marketing, because even sales sourced like opportunities will be exposed to these marketing messages, and that should hopefully build trust within the market.
Yeah.
So those are all of the metrics that we're looking at, and which ones we find important.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I've talked to other marketing leaders over the last couple of months, and a lot of them talked about the sales qualified leads being the more important metric than the marketing qualified leads now, because you want to build that stronger relationship with them, you know, like you just said, that affinity, and be able to have some deeper conversations to understand their pain points, to understand their needs, and then be able to offer your services to help them along their journey, if you are a good fit or not. You know, you can have 1,000 marketing qualified leads, but if it doesn't lead them into the sales funnel, then it's basically a waste of time. Now, how does analytics help in understanding and targeting the B2B buyer's journey? You know, you touched on that a little bit.
Yeah, so what I look into is there's several things that I look into that go into understanding the targeting. One is channel, analyzing channel engagement. Within B2B, there's not always going to be a direct attribution from channel to revenue. There's many touch points. It's a complex journey. So we can't really look at like, did this channel result in this revenue? Instead, we're looking at overall channel engagement. is the message resonating with people on these channels? So like there's a saying that the median is the message. So what we say on Facebook is probably going to be a little bit different than what we say on LinkedIn, also a little bit different than how we communicate on a podcast. So we need to like find the best channels that articulate the message to our audience and say in a way that fits the platform or the medium. So yeah, channel, message. The other thing that we look at in terms of understanding the targeting is bottlenecks within the marketing funnel and the sales pipeline. So one thing that I've noticed is that like someone coming from Facebook to the website, they might have different expectations than someone coming from LinkedIn to the website. So understanding where those like bottlenecks or breaks in the process are, and fine tuning, maybe there's a different landing page or different messaging on the website. And then lastly, it's looking at doing a win-loss analysis to understand at the very end, who are the people or accounts that are actually closing and winning the deals, and then how can we go back to the very beginning and target those types of accounts and those types of people. So it's like a big feedback loop of, all right, these are the types of people that win. How can we target them at the very top of the funnel?
Yeah. Yeah, you made a good point there with the different channels, Facebook, for example, versus LinkedIn. I've been running a lot of webinars lately, and I have source codes for each of the registration links.
Mm-hmm.
And I get a lot of engagement on LinkedIn, the vanity metrics. I get shares, I get likes, I get comments, and I've not gotten anything like this even close on Facebook or Instagram. What I've noticed is that I could see the visitors' views when it clicks on the links that I shared on these different platforms, and I had more engagement on the link clicks on Facebook and Instagram compared to LinkedIn, even though nobody really comments or likes my Facebook or Instagram posts on our company page. But there's a lot more engagement, like kind of like the black, what do you call it? Black social, dark social?
Dark social, yeah.
Yeah, because I wouldn't know that people engage with my posts or click on those links if I wouldn't have the analytics tracking on those registration links. So that was very interesting to me to see, because I thought nobody sees our Facebook and Instagram posts and everybody's just on LinkedIn. But when I started promoting some of our webinars, I could see the huge number of engagement that I wasn't able to see if I didn't have a trackable link there. So it was very interesting to me when I did that, when I looked into that and started tracking those kind of things.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah. What are some common mistakes marketers make when interpreting and applying analytics data in B2B context?
Yeah, I think what you just talked about is one of the biggest mistakes, is focusing too much on the numbers and not understanding the like overarching objective and how those numbers relate to the objective. So going back to your example, if you were like super focused on just engagement metrics and didn't look at anything else, you would completely discount Facebook. However, if you understood like what's the objective we're trying to achieve here, we're trying to get engagement further down the funnel. And so then you can start looking at a little wider perspective of what metrics you're looking at. And you can make better informed decisions off of that. So the biggest mistake, not understanding the objective and just focusing in on quote unquote vanity metrics, and then optimizing towards those vanity metrics. Like that is the biggest mistake you can make within analytics and marketing in general. And even like metrics that you wouldn't expect to be vanity metrics, like if you're solely focused on sales qualified leads, which is great, but those sales qualified leads are not actually converting into one revenue, you've got to look further down the funnel. Like, all right, why are they not converting into to revenue, and understand that whole process. So then you can adjust further up the funnel in order to improve that process.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's about not focusing so much on the numbers and understanding the full objective.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And I had that aha moment a couple of weeks ago. So I totally agree with what you just said. Now let's go to the other spectrum. Could you share some examples of companies that have successfully used analytics to boost their B2B marketing results?
Yeah, I can't say company names, but I can talk generally about like what they've done. So one company that I've worked with, they were fairly new in building out marketing programs. They relied heavily on referrals in the past, and really like connections with the founder, so founder-led sales. And with that, the sales process was pretty easy for them. The people trusted the founder. It was quick conversations, and the deal was signed. However, as they wanted to scale the company, they needed to bring in marketing, and the people coming into the pipeline were a little less familiar and had a little bit more skepticism about the company. And so there was more like selling that had to happen in order to close the deal. So with that, there were several like bottlenecks or like leaks throughout the funnel that we, without analytics, wouldn't have understood. And we would just, like I said, go through the marketing motions without really achieving our objectives. So we implemented some analytics, collected data, and we started to understand like where are the fall off points for people throughout the marketing funnel and sales process. One of the biggest things is that we found that we have a lot of people submitting leads, but the salespeople could not contact them and like have a actual conversation with them. And what we realized is that the sales team was taking sometimes more than 24 hours to get back to the people with an email or a phone call. So we shortened that to less than an hour to see like what kind of impact that would have. It had a huge impact. We increased the contact rate by 50%. So we would not have been able to understand that if we weren't tracking those contact rates or tracking the impact that a shorter contact time would have on that. So that was one of the things that this company implemented to improve, like boost their results. The other thing that they implemented was attaching values to conversions rather than just looking at lead volume. And the way that they did that is they segmented leads based off of certain criteria. So like industry and overall revenue. And depending on how the lead answered in the form, they would attach a different value to them and then send that value back to ad platforms so that the ad platforms could optimize towards higher value leads, and that improved lead quality overall. So that was a cool thing that like we were able to use analytics and historical data to articulate those values and then send those values back to the ad platforms.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Good job on that for sure, man. It sounds kind of like a law firm. I used to work in the legal industry, and they were all heavily referral-based leads. So when it was a partner or an attorney that knew somebody, that's usually the way they got their leads and their clients. But then they always had to pay a hefty referral fee. So it's better to figure out how to get those clients through the door by yourself through your website. How does the integration of marketing automation platforms and CRM system enhance analytics insights for B2B marketers?
Yeah, this is a good question. Having those bidirectional insights from marketing and sales can really help both teams. So the value that sales gets from marketing can be like understanding what their prospects are engaging with. So like what content, how did they come into the system? Is this like a warm lead that came from a referral, or is it a cold lead that came from like a webinar or something? It's understanding that context so that they can have better conversations with their prospects. And then on the flip side, the sales data can inform marketing in understanding where this person is in the sales process. So you're going to probably give different messaging to someone who has just entered the sales process versus someone who is really far down the funnel. And that messaging changes, and you can get that information from CRMs.
Yeah, I love that. We have Salesforce that we partner with, and I did this actually after we completed a webinar. I checked who attended the webinar and then who's already in our sales CRM. And then I saw that our salesperson contacted or left a voicemail and they never called them back. I could tell them, hey, these people just showed up to a webinar. Call them today or tomorrow because they're interested. So that really worked. We're always work hand in hand with our sales team as well as our customer success team. They should be one cohesive unit to drive towards the overall success in the company. So you want to get away from the siloed approach, marketing, sales, and success, and have there's one unit together working towards a common goal.
Yep, definitely.
What trends do you see in the future of analytics in B2B marketing, especially with the evolution of AI and machine learning?
Yeah, so there's a lot of attention on generative AI right now. And I think that type of AI systems are going to improve the efficiency of analytics. So rather than having to spend a ton of time like building models or spending a ton of time in Excel, it'll streamline the process a lot. So that's what I see like generative AI being able to do. However, there's another side, which is predictive AI, that has been around for a little bit longer. Ad platforms have been using it. If you notice, like within Google, there's like smart bidding that's using AI, and it's more of a predictive model. So based on historical data, this is what we predict to be the things in the future. So the more that you can feed those ad platforms the data that you want, like the outcomes that you want, the better they'll be able to target the right customers for you. So like I said before, creating those conversion values that then we fed back to the ad platforms to inform them of these are the types of people that we want you to bring to us. So that kind of like predictive and AI really helped with that. The other thing that I'm exploring, haven't really figured out completely, is marketing mix modeling. And that is using some statistical modeling to figure out how channel spend correlates to different outcomes. So we're attaching it to our different stages, which is affinity, conversations, and revenue. So how are these channels, what's the correlation between these spends and the outcomes that we're getting at each of these three stages? So that's machine learning is making that a lot easier to do nowadays. So exploring that and like what we can get from that.
Yeah, I like the way you touched on that predictive machine learning, because I noticed that when I send out my newsletters through MailChimp, it tells me you can schedule it at this time or schedule it at a recommended time by MailChimp, where it looks back to all the previous newsletters that I sent and then just see which time had the most engagement, most open rates. So that's something to consider as well. I always looked at it, I was like, what is this? Why is it trying to recommend something? I just want to send it at 10 a.m., but maybe I should follow the recommendation to see if I have a better open rate.
Yeah, you always want to validate those things because sometimes the AI can do some wonky things, but yeah, you can get some pretty interesting results if you kind of follow what the AI says.
Yeah, just test it at least, see how it goes. So like we've touched on early in the conversation, you've been in marketing for a while. What is one important lesson that you've learned so far over the course of your marketing career that you can share with somebody just starting out?
Yeah, so as it relates to analytics, what I learned is how to present the data. Early in my career, I would present just loads and loads of data to leadership. And what I found is that it wasn't helpful. Just presenting like a ton of graphs and a ton of like a table worth of numbers, it didn't connect with them because that's not what they care about. So when presenting data, it's important to understand who you're talking to and what questions that they're trying to get answered. When it comes to CEO, they're not interested in the getting into the weeds about like how many people clicked on your email and how many people clicked on your LinkedIn ads. Like they don't care about that. What they care about is, are we achieving our business objectives? And so how you can clearly articulate that through marketing data and analytics, the better they'll be able to make informed decisions on a high level. When you're talking to a CMO, maybe that's a different story. Maybe they do care about some of the more minute metrics on the channel level, understanding specifically how these channels are contributing to the marketing objectives. So understanding who you're talking to, what answers they're looking for, and tailor presentations around those confines.
Yeah, in the end, in marketing, it's all about knowing your audience, whether it's external or internal audiences.
Yep. Internal marketing is just as important as external marketing.
100% agree. 100% agree. What are 2 books or podcasts you recommend anyone should read or listen to become a better marketer, maybe a better analyst?
Yeah. So in college, a book that I read that was really pivotal in my understanding of how marketing works is called Positioning, The Battle for Your Mind. I think it's a pretty old book, like maybe from the 80s or something. But the overall like themes and what you get out of it is, I think, really important in understanding how marketing works and how you can position a brand in the market to kind of elevate it or like find your niche within the market. So that was like a really good, it's like fairly basic understanding of how marketing works, but it's like really foundational to my understanding. And then a podcast that I really like listening to, like as episodes come out, is B2B Growth by Sweetfish Media. I think those guys have some really good insights to share.
One of my friends, LinkedIn friends, Dan Sanchez, he used to work at Sweetfish.
Yeah, Dan's great.
I had him on the show. He told me about it, so I'm gonna have to look into that. As we close the episode, last question: how can people get in touch with you to learn more about you, your company, or just chat about analytics?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, so you can find me there. I post every so often, probably not as much as I should be. And the rest of the Proofpoint team is also on there. They're pretty active. You can find Joseph on there. He's really active, shares some really cool graphics and illustrations that he draws to articulate some marketing ideas. And then our company website is just proofpoint.marketing. So you can go there to learn about our company.
Great. Jon, thank you so much for being part of the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.